Bang! Neeves knives. I'm Jared, and here is a new prototype from Vosteed Cutlery, and this thing has a SCANDI grind. Now, we rarely see SCANDI grinds on folding knives. The only one I can really think of is the Cold Steel Fin Wolf, which I absolutely loved, and it was a very popular knife. Now, this is a true SCANDI grind. Now, I did kind of have a little bit of influence on this, and suggested that they should do a folding SCANDI grind because you don't see it often, and I've had tons of people request and ask where they could find one. Now, I will say, I think this is awesome. I love the way it is, but I am going to give some not criticisms, but some suggestions that I think would take it over the top. Now, I don't know if they'll take them into consideration at all, because for all I know, this is too far gone, and this is how it's going to be from here on out. But because the suggestions I have would be a massive difference. So I don't know if it'd even be possible. But either way, just the way it is, we're going to go over it, and then I'll talk about my suggestions. But we have a spear point blade with a SCANDI grind, so it has a 0 grind, so there's no edge bevel. This is the entire edge bevel right here. Now, to sharpen it and things like that, maybe I'll do that in a different video, and I'll show how to sharpen it. It's actually pretty easy, but, everything does take a little bit of practice or knowledge and understanding. We'll go more into that in a second. My card is scale steel liners, and it has a crossbar lock. Now, the crossbar lock pokes out quite a bit here, so you really got a good grip on it. It's they're very rounded. I almost wish they were a little bit more squared off or something, maybe smaller, but this is just a prototype. So, deep carry clip that's inset with flat screws. That's awesome, and the clip works great. The Vosteed clips always work great. I haven't had a problem with them. I think they're right there at that perfect thickness where, maybe if your jeans were really thick, it might be a little tight in there, but it's been fine for me. Reversible, T8 hardware all the way around, and I believe this is going to be 14C 28M blade steel, which is a really good thing because 14C is an incredibly tough stainless steel. So it's like one of the toughest steels out there. It's a very tough steel, especially for stainless. So super tough stainless steel, and it's easy to sharpen, so that'll be good for the SCANDI grind, and it holds a pretty good edge, and it's easy to maintenance. Really good steel, good quality steel, and they're running it about 59 to 60 HRC, which I think is perfect for 14C 28M. Now, the criticisms I have, let me just say this. Ergonomically, it is comfortable in the hand. I don't feel the clip too much. Yes, it's poking out of the back a little bit, but it just happens to sit in my hand in a nice little spot. So it's actually very comfortable. I can choke up. That's very comfortable. I can do the reverse grips. I can do the pinch grips, utility cuts. I can do all that very, very well. Now, what I think that it should change, or what I think could massively improve this, is two things. One, I think the blade is a little bit narrow, and it actually has plenty of room in the handle to be bigger. If you look at it, look at all that room between the edge and the back, the standoffs. It has plenty of room to be about this big, instead of this big, be a little bit broader. That's one thing. Another thing, I wish the handle was a little bit broader too. I wish it was a little bit more robust, because it's a SCANDI grind. And for a SCANDI grind, you want the most comfortable and best ergos you can possibly get on the knife. Because a SCANDI grind should be really good at wood. You should be able to whittle wood really good. You should be able to do all kinds of wood processing or traps, things like that. Very good. Now, it should also be good for regular cutting purposes too. I'll tell you what, the Fin Wolf I tested back in the day was the first folding SCANDI grind I ever tried, and I was massively surprised how good of a cutter it was. It was such a good cutter. So, same thing with this. And then, you guys already know probably the Rocksteads are that way. Then, those are basically SCANDI grinds with a 0 grind. Now, the thing is, though, is that this is a shallow SCANDI grind, so it's very robust. I think that the grind could go up a little higher, The grind could go up a little higher, and the blade could be a little bit broader, and the handle could be a little bit wider, a little bit thicker. That would make it more comfortable in the hand, bigger in the hand, so you have more to grab onto, so you could really bear down on it. And the geometry would increase just a little bit. Now, you don't want them to be thin. That's the thing with SCANDI grinds. You want them to be a little thick, which this is. And I think it's great the way it is, by the way. I think it's fine. But I think if it was just a little bit bigger and the grind was a little bit taller, I think it would be even better. All in all, though, it's pretty badass. I am excited to see this come out, because I think having a folding SCANDI grind is like a really cool thing to have. It's something, if you are camping, hiking, fishing, hunting, anything like that, this thing would be super handy. And not even just that, even for day-to-day, everyday carry use, it'd be great. Now, sharpening this. All right, now how to sharpen a SCANDI. So first off, there's a couple different ways to do it, and we're going to talk about why it's so easy. One, the reason why it's so easy is because it's super easy to hold your angle, because there's only two places your angle can be. You're not trying to balance a little tiny edge bevel and trying to hold it on an edge bevel you can barely feel because it's so small. This is big. Right there. Bam. Right there's the angle. There's only two angles on this, the spine and the bevel, the edge bevel. So the spine's right there, edge bevel's right there. Spine, edge bevel, spine, edge bevel. Very easy to hold. So you can strap it for maintenance, right? You can have a few different straps, and you can strap it for maintenance very easily because it's very easy to strap. You have probably a less likely chance of rolling your edge because you're not going to be lifting off of your apex or your edge bevel because it's easier to hold. But another way is to get sandpaper and have a sheet of sandpaper very tight, and you can strap it on sandpaper or different grits and progress yourself through sandpaper. So that is one way you can sharpen it, is on the sandpaper. Now, if it was a convex SCANDI grind, similar to like what you'd expect from a Vosteed, well, then you would want to put it on leather. So you'd want to take a piece of sandpaper and put it on leather so that it has that little bit of cushion, so the grit can wrap around the convex. Now, as far as Vosteeds go, they recommend taking denim and wrapping denim with a compound on the denim around a piece of wood, and that little bit of pull from the denim will help wrap around the convex. But as far as a regular SCANDI goes, you don't have to worry about that. Now, like I said, multiple different straps with compounds, you can easily maintenance it. Now, remember, it's easier, not faster. It's easier because of the ability to hold the bevel is very easy, but it still takes longer because you have more steel to remove and it's a lower angle, but it's just easier. So it takes longer, but it is easier. Now, as far as sharpening on a stone goes, again, very easy to hold that edge bevel or the edge angle because it's half of the knife. So you have the spine, bevel, right there's the angle. So you would just do your progression, get your coarse, medium, fine, whatever grit you're going to stop at, and go through your stones. Just like a regular sharpening would be, you want to create a burr. Then once you have a burr on that side and your scratch pattern covers the entire SCANDI or the entire bevel, flip over to the other side and do the other side. Just like sharpening a regular edge bevel, the only difference is it's a lot bigger. It's a lower angle. Now, if you have a fixed angle system, you can take off the thumb studs and clamp it. And, just set your stone angle to the bevel. So, just make sure the stone hits from the top of the edge bevel down. Now, the problem with it is that you might have problems you might have problems with your stone hitting your clamp because it's such a low angle. But luckily, it is very easy to freehand. Now, the choil area right here is, I don't really like the plunge grind on here. I would recommend that they move the grind back a little bit this way. So just like how this is right here, move this portion back here. Because when you're on a stone, the thicker part of the plunge grind will lift you off of the stone and hurt your angle, and it can make it a little bit more difficult. Now, if you're stropping on sandpaper, it won't be that big of a deal, but when you get on flat stones, it will be. But you want your plunge grind to end abruptly. You want to be able to see exactly where it ends. Like if you look at this one, you can see the plunge grind. You can see where it begins, but you can't tell where it ends. Now, if we look at this knife, you can see right where the plunge grind begins, right there, where it ends, right there. It's very apparent. You can see it clear as day where the plunge grind ends. That's what we'd like to see on this, so that you know exactly where the plunge grind is, and then you can avoid it. And if it has to be a tapering one, then at least move it back farther so that it's completely out of the way. Now, having a zero grind can make these edges incredibly sharp because there's no edge bevel behind it. So it gets down very thin. You know, like if you measured behind the edge thickness, I mean, technically you'd have to measure back here, I guess, but if you measure right behind the apex, it is very, very thin. So the bite that you get from these when they enter into things is insane. Like they bite into materials really good because they're so thin. Now this one, I can see the grind is a little goofy in spots. You can see where they had some mistakes and stuff, but this is a prototype, so it's not even that big of a deal. I can feel those two. I can feel those little nicks, 1, 2, and another one right here, and you guys can see them. Not a big deal though. Just a prototype. I've already used it too, by the way. But those little reasons are also why you kind of want it to be a little bit more robust. You want it to be nice and thick and stable. And I have no doubt that the final versions of it will be perfect. Just to show you guys a couple size comparisons, if you guys don't know, here is the Thunderbird, and you can see that it's a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger than, oh yeah, what are we going to call this? I said we should call it the grind. So the Vosteed grind. I don't know what they're going to name it, but let's just call it the grind for now. So the Vosteed Thunderbird and the grind right there. You can see the Thunderbird's a little bit longer than the grind. And then here is the Raccoon, which I don't know. There might be some more of these available. My links will all be down in the description. They are basically the exact same length. Now, I love how broad this blade is. I think if this blade was as broad as this blade, it would be perfect. So, a little bit broader. Look at that edge. Ooh, sharpen that baby up real good. The ergonomics on this one is so good. This one, it's good too, but if it was just a little bit bigger, like that. Oh man, because it would just be more palm filling. But anyways, I still think it's badass. So I love it. Oh yeah, did I show you the size comparison? I think I did. Yeah. There you guys go. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this thing, what you would change or improve. I'm not a big fan of the lanyard hole, but you know, some people do like that. And it's not in the way, so I don't really care. But anyways, I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.